Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Awesome. Today we're going to tackle The Pilgrim's Progress.
Sounds good.
It's a book that seems pretty simple on the surface, but it's had this huge impact for centuries.
Really has.
People from all walks of life, regular folks, scholars, everyone's been drawn to it.
Absolutely.
And you've sent us some great excerpts from To Live Upon God Who is Invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to use those to kind of uncover what makes this book tick.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
I think sometimes people think, oh, Pilgrim's Progress, that's just a simple allegory.
Yeah, I can see that.
And maybe even a children's story.
Uh-huh.
But there's so much more to it than that.
Oh, yeah, way more.
So get ready to be surprised because we're going to uncover why this book has resonated with people for, hundreds of years.
What's really fascinating to me is that this seemingly simple story actually came out of a time of crazy turmoil. So, picture 17th century England, right?
Oh.
You've got all this religious tension, political upheaval.
Wow.
And right in the middle of it all is John Bunyan.
Okay.
He was a Baptist preacher, and he was super outspoken about his beliefs. And you know what? It lands him in prison.
No way.
For over a decade.
Over a decade in prison?
Yeah.
Can you even imagine? I mean, that's got to take some serious strength and conviction.
Oh, for sure.
To hold on to your faith in that kind of situation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's mind-blowing.
It is. It's incredible. But here's the thing. Bunyan, he didn't just sit there and let prison crush him.
No, not at all.
He actually used that time to write.
Yeah.
And get this, he even supported his family by making shoelaces while he was locked up.
He did. It's amazing. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
That imprisonment, as tough as it was, it really shaped him as a writer.
How so?
Well, it gave him this totally unique perspective, to speak to people who were going through hardship.
Right.
He wasn't just preaching from a pulpit anymore.
Yeah.
He was living out his faith in the most challenging circumstances you could imagine.
Wow, that's powerful. There's actually this really moving passage out in one of the sources where Bunyan describes the agony of being separated from his family, especially his blind daughter.
Oh, wow.
He talks about the pain of leaving them behind, the uncertainty of his future. It really hits you in the gut. You can feel the sacrifice he made for his beliefs.
It's incredibly moving. But, even in all that darkness, there were these glimmers of hope.
Oh, that's good.
Like Bunyan's wife, Elizabeth, she was like this pillar of strength.
Wow.
She fearlessly petitioned for his release, went straight to the authorities.
Wow.
She was amazing. It shows how much support he had, even when things were so bleak.
That's incredible. So we've got John Bunyan,
Right.
this man who endured incredible hardship for his faith. And then he writes this book, The Pilgrim's Progress.
Yeah.
It becomes this global phenomenon.
It's amazing.
So let's talk about the book itself.
Okay.
It's about this guy named Christian
Uh-huh.
who embarks on this super dangerous journey.
Yeah.
He's going from the city of destruction to the celestial city.
Right.
And he meets all these crazy characters along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like the terrifying giant despair
Right.
who embodies hopelessness.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And that's what's so cool about the book. It works on multiple levels.
What do you mean?
Well, you have this exciting adventure story that anyone can enjoy.
Right.
But then you've also got this deep allegorical meaning that's just waiting to be uncovered.
Okay.
It's first you experience the thrills of the journey, and then you start to unpack the deeper spiritual significance.
I like that.
Each challenge, each character, it becomes symbols
Okay.
for our own struggles and triumphs in life.
Yeah. And Bunyan was such a good storyteller.
Yeah.
He really paints these vivid pictures with his words. I get characters like Worldly Wise Man and Mr. Legality. They're so relatable, even centuries later.
It's true.
You feel like you're right there with Christian on his journey.
And it's that immersive quality
Yeah.
that makes the allegory so effective.
Okay.
I always tell people to approach it like this.
Yeah.
Imagine the dangers of Christian faces, like the slough of despond or the valley of the shadow of death.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine them as literal obstacles.
Okay.
Feel the weight of that burden he's carrying.
Yeah.
Once you've experienced it on that level,
right,
then the deeper spiritual meaning really starts to resonate.
So we've got this epic adventure story, but it's also reflecting Bunyan's own struggles with faith.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. We know he went through some intense times, really grappling with these big questions about faith and salvation.
For sure. And his personal journey directly informs the themes in the book.
In what way?
Well, it shows how the Christian life is like a journey.
Okay.
Often filled with challenges and temptations, but ultimately it leads to peace and fulfillment.
I like that.
And here's a key insight. Bunyan shows us that spiritual growth often happens when we face our deepest fears and doubts head on.
Kind of like Christian does in the Valley of the Shadow of Death.
Exactly.
Speaking of facing challenges,
Yeah.
there's this really powerful line in the source material
Oh,
where Bunyan tells his readers to live upon God who is invisible,
wow.
especially during times of suffering.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, look, even when the world feels dark and uncertain, you can still find strength and comfort in your faith.
And what's important is that Bunyan didn't see suffering as a bad thing.
Really?
No, he actually saw it as this crucial part of spiritual growth. He uses this analogy of winter being necessary for fruit to grow.
Oh, I like that.
He's basically saying that hardship, even though it's painful, can lead to greater understanding
Yeah,
and a deeper connection with God.
that's a powerful way to look at it. It makes me think of that quote. The wound is the place where the light enters you.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
It's like in those moments when we're broken,
Yeah,
that's when we often find our greatest strength and resilience.
exactly. And that's what Bunyan was so good at, articulating that truth, offering comfort and guidance to people struggling with their faith.
Yeah.
That's why the Pilgrim's Progress was such a hit. It gave people a roadmap for their own spiritual journeys.
And he didn't sugarcoat it either.
No, not at all.
I mean, he was living proof that the Christian life isn't always easy.
Right.
He'd been through the ringer himself.
And in one of his other books,
Which one?
The Greatness of the Soul,
Okay.
he actually says that following Jesus is like having the wind in your face.
Oh, wow.
It's not going to be a smooth ride all the time.
Yeah.
You're going to face trials, feel lost and alone sometimes. It's
Oh.
going to be tough.
But even in those tough moments, Bunyan reminds us that we're not alone.
That's important.
He talks about the importance of community.
Yeah.
Having those fellow travelers who
Yes.
can support us, challenge us, and help us stay true to our path.
It's so crucial. And he also warns against seeking revenge.
Oh, interesting.
He says to have compassion, even for our enemies.
Wow.
There's this quote, "Learn to pity and bewail the condition of the enemy." He reminds us that God is in control
Yeah.
and revenge isn't the answer.
That's powerful, especially considering all the persecution he and the other Baptists faced.
I know, right? To advocate for mercy when you've been treated so unfairly.
Yeah,
It really shows his character.
it does.
And he emphasizes that there is more of God to be had in times of suffering than any other time.
Wow.
It's a perspective that challenges us, right? To find spiritual growth even when we're in pain.
It's amazing how Bunyan, who didn't have a ton of formal education,
Right.
became such a powerful writer.
It is pretty amazing.
His love for reading really played a big part. You know,
Right.
it sparked his own spiritual journey and shaped his understanding of faith.
For sure.
And ultimately, it led him to become an author himself.
It's like this beautiful cycle, right?
Yeah.
Reading ignited his passion, and his writing ignited the passion of countless others.
And that legacy continues to this day.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Pilgrim's Progress is still read and studied by people all over the world.
It is. It's incredible.
It's gone beyond its religious roots
Yeah.
to become a literary classic.
It really has.
It's pretty remarkable that a book written in prison, born out of suffering and adversity,
Yeah.
could become such a beacon of hope and inspiration.
It's a testament to the power of the human spirit, for sure.
So, as we move forward in our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want you to think about this.
Okay.
What personal burdens are you carrying?
Hmm.
How can the Pilgrim's Progress offer you insights into your own journey?
That's a good question.
These are some things to ponder as we continue exploring this extraordinary work.
Okay.
Now, let's actually dive into the journey itself, that perilous path
Okay.
from the city of destruction to the celestial city.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've talked about Bunyan's life and the impact of the Pilgrim's Progress.
Yeah.
But let's actually get into the nitty-gritty of the journey itself.
Right.
The story kicks off with Christian in the city of destruction, and what strikes me is that he's not some, like, epic hero.
Yeah.
He's just an ordinary guy, weighed down by the sense of sin, you know?
It's true, and he's literally carrying that burden on his back.
Yeah.
It's like a symbol of the weight of his sins.
Wow.
And he's desperate for a way out,
Yeah.
a path to salvation.
Right.
And that's where this idea of the way of grace through faith comes in.
Right. Hold on. For those of us who aren't, like, theology scholars, can you break that down a bit?
Of course.
What does that actually mean, the way of grace through faith?
Well, it basically means that salvation or being right with God, you know, isn't something you can earn by doing good deeds or following rules.
Okay.
It's a gift from God.
Okay.
And you receive it through faith in Jesus Christ.
I see.
So Christian's whole journey is about learning to let go of his own efforts and trust in God's grace.
So Christian's on this quest for salvation, and he runs into these two guys.
Oh, yeah.
Obstinate and pliable.
Right.
And they kind of represent two totally different reactions to Christian's faith, don't they?
Exactly.
Obstinate is, obstinate.
Yeah.
He's stuck in his ways.
Stubborn.
Totally refuses to listen to Christian's worries about sin and judgment.
Yeah.
And then there's pliable,
Right.
who's easily swayed by the idea of the celestial city. But as soon as things get a little rough, he bails.
He's out of there.
I mean, they're like these perfect examples of how people react to faith, right?
It's true.
Some reject it completely. Others, they're kind of into it, but not really committed.
Superficial.
Totally.
And then they hit their first big obstacle.
Oh, yeah.
The slough of despond.
Ugh, the slough of despond. It's like this literal and metaphorical bog of despair.
It's
like this sticky mud pit that represents all the doubts and difficulties we face on our own spiritual journeys. Those times when we feel like giving up.
It's so true.
I love how Bunyan uses these crazy, vivid images.
Oh, yeah, he's great at that.
To capture these, like, internal struggles.
Yeah.
It's not just a physical obstacle.
No, it's not.
It's all those feelings of guilt and fear and discouragement that can just weigh us down.
Yeah, remember how Christian starts sinking in the mud?
Oh, yeah.
Burden dragging him down.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful visual of how our own anxieties can trap us.
It's kind of bleak, though, right?
It is.
But then help shows up and pulls Christian out.
Yeah.
It's like this reminder that even when we're at our lowest, there's always help available.
Absolutely. There's always a way out.
Yeah, a helping hand to lift us up.
And that's where guidance becomes so crucial.
Okay.
Christian realizes he can't do this alone.
Right.
He needs direction.
Yeah.
And that's where Evangelist steps in.
Right.
He points Christian towards the wicket gate, the entrance to the path that leads to the celestial city.
Okay.
But getting to that gate is no walk in the park.
Oh, no, not at all.
There are distractions everywhere, like worldly wise men.
Right. Oh, worldly wise man.
Right.
He's so smooth talking, offering what sounds like an easier path to salvation.
Yeah, he's all about the shortcuts.
Yeah.
Tries to convince Christian that there's a more sensible approach to faith.
Right.
He tells him to head to the town of morality and seek guidance from Mr. Legality and his son Civility.
Okay, but what's wrong with that?
Well, they represent this superficial kind of religion.
Oh, okay.
All about outward appearances and good deeds instead of a real change of heart.
It's like trying to earn your way into heaven by being a good person.
Exactly.
Instead of relying on God's grace.
That's it.
And it doesn't work.
Not at all.
Christian ends up lost and terrified at the foot of Mount Sinai, which is like this symbol of the overwhelming weight of the law.
It's a scary scene.
Yeah, it is.
The mountain shakes, there's fire.
Ooh.
Christian feels the crushing guilt of trying to live by rules alone.
It's a good reminder that true faith isn't about checking boxes or following rules.
Right.
It's about a deep personal relationship with God.
Absolutely.
Rooted in grace and forgiveness.
And you know who comes to the rescue again?
Who?
Evangelist.
Of course.
Offering guidance, setting Christian back on the right path.
Yeah.
The path of faith. Reliance on God's grace.
Okay, so he finally gets to the wicket gate.
He does.
That narrow entrance to salvation.
Yeah.
But his journey's far from over. Right?
Oh, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's just getting
The
sweet.
Wicket Gate is just the starting point.
Right.
The real adventure's ahead.
Yeah.
Full of trials, triumphs, doubts, discoveries.
Like he's just taken his first step
Yeah.
on this long and winding road.
Exactly. And he's going to meet some interesting characters along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Some helpful, some not so much.
Right?
They're going to test his faith and shape his understanding of the Christian life.
One of the most memorable characters he meets is the interpreter.
Oh, yeah, the interpreter.
This mysterious figure who shows Christian all these symbolic themes that kind of explain the truths of faith.
It's like Christians going through spiritual boot camp,
I love that, spiritual boot camp.
getting ready for the challenges ahead.
One of the scenes that always sticks with me is the one with passion and patience.
Oh, yeah, those two.
What do you think Bunyan's trying to say with those characters?
Well, passion, he's all about instant gratification.
Right.
Wants everything right now. But patience,
Yeah,
he understands that the best things in life are worth waiting for.
that's a good lesson.
It is. It's about delayed gratification.
Yeah,
Keeping your eyes on the eternal prize,
yeah.
not just temporary pleasures.
Which is hard,
It is.
especially these days.
It's so easy to get caught up in wanting everything right now.
Yeah,
But real fulfillment comes from being patient,
right.
trusting in God's timing.
And Christian, throughout his journey,
Yeah.
he's always wrestling with this tension
Right.
between wanting the easy way out and choosing the hard but faithful path.
It's true, he's tempted to take shortcuts,
Yeah,
to go for comfort and security.
right.
But he's constantly reminded
Yeah,
that the Christian life isn't about comfort.
it's about something bigger.
Exactly. It's about purpose, meaning, and ultimately being with God.
And that's what makes Christian such a relatable character, right?
Luckily.
He's not perfect.
Yeah.
He messes up.
Yeah.
He has doubts.
But he never gives up.
That's inspiring.
He keeps going, learns from his mistakes,
Yeah.
and keeps moving towards the celestial city.
Which is encouraging for us, right?
Absolutely.
Like, we don't have to be perfect
Yep.
to be on the right path.
It's about moving forward,
Yeah.
even when we stumble.
Relying on God's grace.
Exactly.
And another thing that stands out to me,
What's that?
Christian doesn't go on this journey alone.
That's right.
He meets other pilgrims along the way,
Yeah.
and they form these really strong bonds.
It's the power of community.
Yeah.
Having people who share your beliefs,
Right.
who can encourage you, challenge you.
It's so important.
It's essential for spiritual growth.
One of the most significant encounters he has is with Faithful. Right?
Oh, yeah.
He becomes Christian's companion and friend.
They have some great conversations.
Yeah, they really dive into the complexities of faith and the struggles of living a life devoted to God.
It's like they're helping each other figure it all out.
But not all companions are good, right?
No, definitely not.
What about Mr. Talkative?
Ah, Mr. Talkative.
He seemed friendly enough at first,
Yeah,
but he actually represents a danger to Christian's journey.
he does. He's all talk,
Yeah.
no action.
It's like he embodies that empty religiosity.
He does.
He can talk the talk,
Oh, well, yeah.
use all the right religious words, but his actions don't match up.
It's a cautionary tale
Yeah, it is.
about the dangers of mistaking outward piety for genuine faith.
It's so easy to get caught up in fancy words and religious jargon.
I know, right?
But Bunyan reminds us
Yep.
that true faith is about living it out.
It's about action,
Yeah.
showing your faith in what you do.
And that's still relevant today, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're bombarded with messages about spirituality and self-improvement.
Yep.
But Bunyan's telling us to look deeper,
Hmm.
to see if people's actions match their words.
Yeah, look at the fruits of their life.
It's a call to be discerning,
It is.
to really test what we're hearing and seeing.
And to make sure our own faith is rooted in something real.
Yeah, not just words or emotions.
And it's through these tests, these encounters with true companions and false guides,
Right.
that Christian's character is really shaped.
He learns so much about faith, perseverance, relying on God's grace. And as we go deeper into Christian's journey,
Yeah.
we'll see those lessons play out in even more amazing ways.
We will. You ready to see what's next?
Okay, so we've been following Christian on this wild journey.
It's been quite a ride.
Right. He's faced down, giants of despair, walked these treacherous paths.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to one of the most famous scenes in the whole book,
Oh, yeah.
Christian's battle with Apollyon.
This is where things get real.
Right. Like, we're not just talking about metaphors anymore.
Yeah. No, this is intense.
Christian's in the Valley of Humiliation, and he comes face to face with Apollyon.
who is basically evil incarnate.
Yeah, like a terrifying monster.
A monster who wants to destroy Christian's faith.
It's a spiritual showdown.
It is.
A battle for Christian's soul.
And Apollyon, he's relentless.
Oh, yeah.
Taunts Christian, tempts him.
With what?
Promises of power, worldly success, if he'll just give up his faith.
Wow. Talk about pressure.
It's the ultimate test.
Right. Of his willpower, his conviction.
Everything he's learned so far.
In this scene, it's such a powerful reminder.
Of what?
That the Christian life isn't passive.
Right.
It's not just about avoiding temptation.
No.
It's about actively fighting evil. Standing strong in your beliefs.
Even when it feels impossible.
Even when you're facing overwhelming opposition.
And Christian, he does exactly that.
He doesn't back down.
No way.
He's got his sword of the Spirit.
Which represents God's word.
Right, and he fights back.
It's a fierce battle.
It is, and Christian gets hurt.
Yeah.
But he wins.
He does. He emerges victorious.
And that victory, it's not just for Christian, it's for us too, you know?
How so?
It shows us that faith can overcome anything.
Yeah.
That even when we feel weak, we have this inner strength.
A strength that comes from God.
But even after that incredible win, things get even darker.
They do.
Christian enters the valley of the shadow of death.
Ooh, that's a rough one.
This place of intense darkness and spiritual emptiness.
I can only imagine how terrifying that must have been.
Right, surrounded by enemies.
And imagine.
Full of doubts and fears.
This is where we see Christian at his most vulnerable.
Yeah.
He's exhausted, alone, struggling to hold on to hope.
It's like a picture of our own spiritual battles, right?
Absolutely.
Those times when faith feels shaky and the darkness seems overwhelming, it's a good thing he's reunited with Faithful at this point.
Oh, yeah. Faithful.
Having someone there who gets it, who understands your struggles.
Makes all the difference.
Totally.
Faithful's presence gives Christian that boost he needs. They share their fears, remind each other of God's promises.
Help each other stay focused.
It's the power of Christian community.
Right, that support system.
We need each other, especially when things are tough.
But then they hit Vanity Fair.
Oh, Vanity Fair.
This crazy marketplace that represents all the distractions of the world.
It's like a microcosm of society.
Everything is for sale.
Temptations everywhere.
Yeah, materialism, superficiality.
Bunyan's really critiquing the world's values here.
Showing how easily we can be led astray.
Exactly.
And Christian and Faithful, they get mocked and imprisoned.
For what?
For refusing to play by the world's rules.
It's a reminder that following Christ
often
means going against the grain.
Standing up for what's right.
Even when it's unpopular.
Even when it costs you something.
And for Faithful, it costs him everything.
He's put on trial.
For his beliefs.
Falsely accused.
And ultimately executed.
Refusing to give up his faith. It's a powerful moment.
It is.
A reminder that following Christ can have a high price.
It's a testament to Faithful's unwavering conviction.
Even in the face of death.
It's about sacrifice.
Yeah.
True faith often means giving something up.
Our comfort, our security, our ambitions for something greater.
Faithful's death is like the ultimate example of that.
But even though he's gone,
yeah,
Faithful's legacy lives on.
Outside?
He inspires Christian to keep going, to press on towards the celestial city.
And Christian finds a new companion.
Oh, yeah.
Hopeful.
Such a fitting name.
Right. Embodies that essential virtue.
They meet all sorts of people along the way.
Oh, yeah. It's a parade of characters.
Like Mr. Byron and his crew.
They're all about compromise.
Right. Twisting their beliefs to fit in.
Spiritual chameleons.
Yeah.
Bunyan's showing us the hypocrisy that can exist.
Even in religious circles. But Christian and Hopeful, they're different. They're willing to face hardship rather than compromise their conviction.
They're committed, even when it's tough.
But they're not immune to temptation.
No one is.
Remember Demas?
Oh, yeah, they are.
Trying to lure them off the path with promises of riches.
Money, status, success.
Yeah, those can be powerful distractions. And then there's that stark reminder of Lot's wife.
The pillar of salt.
Yeah, she looked back.
Longing for what she'd left behind.
Set a warning.
About clinging to the things of this world.
Letting our desire for comfort hold us back.
But there are also moments of beauty and joy along the way.
Oh, yeah. Like the Delectable Mountains.
Yeah, like the Delectable Mountains.
Oh, yes, a place of rest and renewal.
Spiritual refreshment.
Yeah.
A glimpse of the glory that awaits.
But even after leaving the mountains, there are still challenges.
Always challenges.
They run into ignorance.
Who thinks he's on the right path.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really understand salvation.
It shows that true faith requires more than just good intentions.
Right, it's about understanding God's grace.
And surrendering to his will.
And then there's the enchanted ground.
Ooh, that's a tricky one.
A place of spiritual drowsiness.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fall asleep there.
To lose sight of the goal.
It's a call to stay vigilant.
Right. To stay awake.
Aware of the dangers.
And speaking of dangers, we can't forget about Doubting Castle.
And giant despair.
This is probably the darkest point in the whole journey.
It's brutal.
Christian and hopeful are imprisoned, tortured by doubts and fears.
Giant despair tries to break them.
Yeah, he tells them there's no hope.
That they're better off dead.
It's a chilling picture of despair.
How it can paralyze us.
Make us question everything.
But even in that darkness, Hopeful finds a glimmer of light.
He does. He reminds Christian of God's faithfulness.
Of his promises.
Yeah, and the strength they have in Christ.
It's a reminder that we can always cling to hope, even in the darkest moments.
It's when we feel most lost.
That we often find our greatest strength.
And they find the key to escape.
They do.
By remembering those promises.
Clinging to hope.
The key was with them all along.
What was it?
God's love and forgiveness.
His promise to never leave them.
It's a powerful message.
Of resilience, the power of hope.
To overcome despair.
Bunyan shows us that there's always a way out.
A path back to hope and healing. After escaping Doubting Castle, they finally reach the land of Beulah. This beautiful, peaceful place.
Right on the edge of the celestial city.
It represents spiritual maturity, right? It does. Peace and joy.
The trials are over.
Yeah.
A glimpse of heaven.
And from Beulah, they cross the river of death and enter the celestial city.
Their journey complete.
It's the culmination of everything.
Yeah.
The victory of faith.
Of hope over despair.
Love over fear.
They've reached their destination.
And it's a reminder for us.
That no matter how tough our own journeys get, there's a destination worth striving for.
A place of eternal joy and rest.
Where our burdens are lifted.
So as you think about Christian's pilgrimage, think about your own life.
Yeah.
What slows of despond are you facing?
What vanity fairs are tempting you?
Yeah, what delectable mountains offer you rest?
These are good questions.
The Pilgrim's Progress. It's a timeless story.
It is.
It speaks to the human experience.
In such a profound way.
It reminds us we're all on a journey.
Yeah.
And that the path, even though it's hard, can lead us to something amazing. Keep going, keep seeking, keep believing.
Your celestial city awaits.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Pilgrim's Progress.
It's been a pleasure.